Hello there. Following on from the last few videos, I think I want to take it further in relation to the FOI that was recently received, well, about 10 days ago, which gave a lot of data about the split between births at the Countess of Chester Hospital, split between mums who lived in Wales and mums who lived in England. And they did that, well, I requested it over a period of years, including the indictment period, which, just to remind you, is June 2015 to June 2016. So that's a 13-month period. So it included that and included years before that and years after that. So yesterday and today I've just been kind of delving into that data, and I think some really significant movements of numbers, changes of numbers are noticeable, very noticeable indeed. So if we start with the indictment period, so this is about births now at the Countess. This is the indictment period, June 2015 to June 2016, a 13-month period. So I'm going to start looking at blocks of, sorry, having a bit of trouble speaking, blocks of 13 months prior to this indictment period and then after it as well, and just to see what's occurring here. During the indictment period, there are 2,663 births at the Countess from mums who reside in England. And there are 728 births at the Countess of mums who reside in Wales. Now that figure of 728 in the indictment period is a jump of 20% from the previous 13 months. The previous 13 months being May 2014 to May 2015, where there were only 606 births of babies from mothers living in Wales who gave birth at the Countess of Chester. So when we say a 20% increase, we're not just talking about an increase from 10 to 12. We're talking about from 606 to 728. So that's 122 extra births from mums living in Wales at the Countess during the indictment period, which ballpark figure for this 13-month indictment period is an extra just under 3 a week. Why this ties into the other FOI results about these transfers and exactly how many there may have been, just to refresh on that, we were told there were 5 up to 5, equal or less than 5 babies transferred from this geographical area, this health board area, the Betsy Cadwallader University Health Board area. 5 going to, they all need level 3 care, and 5 up to 5 are going to Countess of Chester Hospital, which is a struggling, nominally level 2 unit. None going to Arrow Park, which had been the designated agreed hospital to send babies from Wales requiring level 3 care because of the changes or the problems that were going on with obstetric care and neonatal care in Wales, in North Wales at this time, related to Glan Clwyd Hospital and the Maylor Hospital in Wrexham, which had both been downgraded. And finally, so just going back on that point, 5 up to 5 sent also transferred, needing level 3 care to, more appropriately, Liverpool Women's Hospital. So that's a total of a maximum of 10. Now, what's so concerning about that, even though you've got the initial concern about, well, why are they sending any of those to the Countess of Chester Hospital at all? What is striking about this figure of a maximum of 10, and there could be less than 10, is that that's such a small figure. So just to reprise, I asked for how many transfers occurred between Wales and England of babies needing level 3 care over 2 full years, and they're saying there's a maximum of 10. So that's a very small figure, and that's what's so striking about it. There should be more. And I think some of the explanation for that may be that many of the mums were advised in the lead up to this period, or during it and in the lead up to this period, in which neonatal care and obstetric care, I'm having trouble pronouncing that, obstetric care in the North Wales area was very problematic. There was a great shortage of obstetricians in the Wrexham area and in this North Wales area, and that a combination, this is following on from the video I did yesterday, or the two of them, is that there's a split. There's mums being advised to, in advance, have your baby in England because of the problems that we've got here, just in case, and particularly if they're going to be high risk births, and particularly if they're going to be multiple births. And we're seeing, I think, a signifier of that in this 20% increase in births at the Countess during the indictment period, as compared to the previous 13 months, a jump from 600 odd to 728, a very significant jump. I would imagine Dr. Martin Pittman, if he had noted a particular jump of 20% in births, that would be hugely significant. I would imagine he wouldn't think that as being hugely significant, and it's saying something. There's much more to come about this. Just tracking back, as I wanted to go further back, the 13 months before the indictment period, i.e., I'm just checking this out here, sorry. So now we're looking at the 13 months before the prior 13 months, which is April 2013 to April 2014. I'm doing 13 months just to keep it at the same level of this indictment period. We've got the English total births 2,777, and we've got the Welsh total of 609. So that's pretty much the same. It's only 3 difference. It's only 3 difference to the 13 months just before the indictment period. What I'll do is, I think on posts, is do a photograph of the numbers. But just for this video, the main point here is you come into the indictment period, and what does the beginning of the indictment period coincide with? It coincides with the downgrading of the 2 level 3 units, and there's been a build-up for that over time. It's been in the Welsh press, it's been in the national press, so people know beforehand. So mums who are pregnant know beforehand, and they're being likely advised by their doctors or whoever's looking after their pregnancies, it's best that you go and have your baby, especially if there's a potential higher risk birth, such as multiple births, in England, not necessarily just in the CoCH. I haven't done a inquiry about births in the other hospitals in that northwest region, or that would come under the network of the Cheshire and Merseyside network. But if if the uptick, the 20% increase, is typical that we see in the Countess, then it's quite possible there's an overall uptick of many more across the totality of that network of mums based living in Wales. They don't have to be Welsh; they could be English living in Wales, obviously, but many of them will be Welsh. But it's just about where they live. Got this 20% uptick there. So going just to go back on the earlier point, I struggle through this because I really want to get this out here. I think it's very significant. Speaking wise, struggle through it. A maximum of 5 transfers over 2 years doesn't make any sense. Why would you have had 2 level 3 units in North Wales and that a sample size for 2 years of their activity would amount to a maximum of 10 babies? It doesn't make sense. There has to either, another potential is were some sent to South Wales hospitals. That's something I've yet to ask that. But the agreement was that because of the relative nearness that they would go to Arrow Park. We know Arrow Park didn't take any. So now we've got this whole issue about a mixture of mums, perhaps early in their pregnancy, knowing this is going on, problems with obstetrics and neonatology in their area, in the Betsy Cadwallader area, North Wales area. They are either directed by the people who are taking care of their pregnancy, go and have your baby in England, or they're self-referring, and maybe those two elements make up for or cause this 20% uplift in births at the Countess of babies from mums living in Wales. I wanted to go back even further, so a further 13-month block. So this is March 2012 to March 2013. And we've got a total here. We've got a higher level of the English total, which is 2,838 births of babies from mums living in England. And we've got quite a high Welsh total of 662. It's not near the indictment period, but what we're seeing here is that there's an overall increase of births, both from mums from England and mums from Wales, as a total, an overall total. But certainly the 2 13 months blocks before the indictment period block, we're looking at 609 and 606 deaths, respectively, and then a 20% leap during the indictment period to 728. And yet, what is outstanding in our knowledge is, what we don't know is about what other hospitals in that network were also elected by mums from Wales leading into this indictment period. And more saliently, we're talking about high-risk births, births of multiples, higher risk and high-risk births, that in all likelihood, mums who are pregnant leading up to the beginning of the indictment period in Wales, they don't know it's going to become the indictment period, but they're being told, because of the situation in Wales, it's best to go and have your baby in England, there in the Cheshire and Merseyside area, in one of those hospitals. And clearly CoCH was one of their big choices, because it is anyway. I mean, there are, as we see from these 13-month blocks before, there's ballpark figure 600 babies a year anyway. But there is this change. in May 2015. Sorry, in June 2015 to June 2016. There is this big lift. Now, the other thing I wanted to do was to go forward after the indictment period, to look at 13-month blocks after the indictment period. So I'm just going to scroll down to what happened there, because that's telling another story. So now we're looking at the 13-month block of births at the Countess now, between July 2016, so Lucy Letby has been removed from the unit, to July 2017. So July 2017, what do we see here? The bulk of that period of time falls before, there's a real story comes out here in these next few blocks of time. The bulk of that period of time falls before the first reporting of excess deaths, excess in quotes deaths, well, excess deaths at the Countess of Chester Hospital, which was in May 2017. So the figures for this period of time, just to remind you, is July 2016 to July 2017. So this is after the first block after the indictment period. English total 2,563. Welsh total 727. So it's kept up at that high level. It's kept up at that high level. So the previous one, the indictment period, was, what did we say it was? 728 in the indictment period. The next 13 months, it's still very high. It hasn't gone down. 727 because up to all through this all through this period subsequent to the indictment period, the problems in Wales are still ongoing. There's still this shortage of obstetricians. There's still this downgrading of Maylor Wrexham Hospital and Glenclwyd Hospital. It only gets back online, the Glenclwyd, officially opening in September 2018, but taking babies from February 2018. But we're not there yet in this block. So we still see this 20% increase has been maintained. And I think that's significant. So it's not just a fluke year that you had that 20% increase. It was maintained. Because of why? Because of the issues going on in North Wales. But then something further interesting happens when we look at the next block of time after that. The next block of 13 months is August 2017 to August 2018. Right, August 2017 to August 2018. Now, what has been happening in that period of time? Well, from February 2018, Glenclwyd, although not formally open, is beginning to take level 3 babies again. And things are being addressed in North Wales. It's kind of getting back more to normal, as it were. But that's not all that's happened. In May 2017, we've had the reporting of excess deaths at the Countess of Chester. And these two factors, I think, bear out what happens in the data here. So in this block of time, August 2017 to August 2018, that also cuts in just into the first arrest of Lucy Letby, but only just, because that happens in July 2018, 3rd of July, I think it is. We see in this block of time a Welsh drop to 517, which is a 29% drop, 29 point something, almost a third, getting on for a third drop in mums from Wales giving birth at the Countess of Chester Hospital. I think as a result of hearing about the excess deaths and possibly a tiny amount of gland fluid is being opened for things are being made more effective and right and more reliable, as it were. People are having more confidence of giving birth in those North Wales, in that North Wales area, knowing that gland fluid is on track. A revamped gland fluid back to level 3, taking on babies from February 2018, but not officially open until September 2018. But we're seeing a 29% increase, and I think I'm speculating that the bulk of that the bulk of that 29% decrease in births from mums from Wales at the Countess, going down to 517 from well over 700, is due to this reporting of the excess deaths at the Countess of Chester Hospital. Significantly, in this block of time, just to remind you the dates, this 13-month block is August 2017 to August 2018. There's also a huge drop, a relatively major drop in the births at the Countess from mums who live in England. That's dropped down to 2,281 from the previous of 2,563. So that's a significant drop there as well. I think that's probably caused, again, from that reporting that comes out in May 2017. And we see this compounded in the next 13-month block, which is September 2018 to September 2019. So this covers you've had this story out there that's being reported, that there's a police investigation now. You have 2 arrests during this next block of time of Lucy Letby, the first and the second, in 2018, 2019, respectively. So what do we see with the data here in terms of births at the Countess of Chester Hospital and the split between English and Welsh? Well, not necessarily, they don't have to be English or Welsh, it's just where they reside. Mums from England, mums from Wales. In this next period of time, September 2018 to September 2019, the English figures are still really well down, as you can imagine. Why? Because people are reading these newspaper reports, and now it's got to the level of, there was deliberate harm done in the reporting, not in reality, but in the reporting. So the English total for that, or total for mums based in England for this period of time, is 2,264, and the Welsh total has dropped even further to 397. So look at the figures. We've got the biggest. We've got the indictment period, in which you've got 728 babies being born at the Countess from mums who live in Wales. Now we're into this period post-reporting of potential crimes at the Countess of Chester Hospital, and we're down to 397. So that's a 45% drop. So we've got a 45% drop in births from mums based in Wales at the Countess in this block of time, which is September 2018 to 2019, compared to July 2016 to July 2017, which is the period just after the indictment period. So I think that's hugely significant. For the you can see how these figures are tracking what's happening, both in North Wales, but also as a result of the reporting, first of excess deaths at the Countess of Chester, and then the investigation into alleged deliberate harm, followed by the announcement of arrests in 2018, an arrest in 2018, subsequent arrest in 2019. So I'll leave it there, but just to recap, this alleged figure of up to 5 babies being transferred, who needing level 3 care, to Countess of Chester Hospital, and up to 5 going to Liverpool Women's Hospital as a maximum. So maximum of 10 across 2 years can't be the full amount at all. It's the tip of an iceberg. There has to be more information about that out there, and this is giving us a very, very strong hint about where that may lay, or where the preponderance of that, where it may lie in the increase, in this 20% increase in mothers based in Wales electing to have their babies, particularly I would say if they're thought to be risky pregnancies, at the Countess of Chester or another hospital in the Cheshire and Merseyside network. So this is all about pressure piling in that isn't necessarily obvious at first glance into that Cheshire network, filling up cots, filling up babies. I mean, filling up cots in other hospitals, filling up the level 3 units. You've also got, as commenters have said, sorry if I can't always remember who said what, I can't, but I really appreciate all the comments immensely, and the conversation we're all having ongoing in the comments and between other channels as well. So about Arrow Park, has been said by the Welsh Health Board not to have been sent any babies needing level 3 care during 2015, 2016. Got major sepsis issues there, apparently, got sepsis issues, got lack of cots, got cleanliness problems, got a bad CQC report. If Arrow Park is, but this is the conundrum, and somebody else said in a comment, and again, I'm sorry, I can't remember who said what, babies were being transferred from Countess of Chester upwards, as it were, to Arrow Park. But the Welsh Health Board, so they say that they weren't prepared to send any to Arrow Park, or they didn't happen to, despite it being the originally nominated, designated hospital for babies needing level 3 care in Wales to be directed to Arrow Park. Didn't take any. What's the effect of that? Where's the heat going? Where can we sense all the heat, and the direction of the heat is all going into Countess of Chester, particularly because of the attitude of the consultant body there, of just letting it run away with them, not caring enough, thinking they can do more than they can do. And this, let's remember Alison Timmis's, the consultant paediatrician Alison Timmis's letter. It's chaos here. Babies are going to die. Colleagues, healthcare professionals, nurses and doctors are going to have breakdowns. Babies are going to die. It's dangerous. It's unsafe. Why is it unsafe? Because it's become this massive pressure point that the consultants won't acknowledge. And then you add all their negative attitudes, their bad practice, their unwillingness to be there. You've got all this extra pressure, and they're not wanting even to turn up or to do daily ward rounds, or unable to do it. And there's no communication clearly between, well, there's an attempt in Alison Timmis's email, but then that gets washed away and it gets watered down to nothing in the Thirlwall inquiry. And it gets turned into, it was just a bit busier than normal, but busier with what level of acuity and how many multiples, and that's the issue here. So it is this notion of explainability, unexplainability, needs to be applied to what was happening to the network and what was happening to a particular focus point in the network that we're looking at, which is the Countess of Chester, vis-a-vis number of babies being born there, the types of pregnancies, how many multiples, the lockups in the system, the jams in the system, and the jams in the transport system, that delayed or stopped babies being moved on to level 3 units. What's going on with Arrow Park? Anyway, I'll leave it there. Thanks for listening. I know there's a lot of numbers in there. I'm going to sort of I think I'll do it as a post just to show you the numbers that I went through there. For those blocks of 13 months of time in the indictment period, the three blocks of 13 months before it and the 3 blocks of 13 months after it, which shadow and tell the story of what's going on both in North Wales and subsequent to the reporting of excess deaths at the Countess of Chester Hospital. Thanks for listening. Bye-bye.